The active waypoint shows in magenta on legs page 1. Above the name of each waypoint is the magnetic heading or the magnetic course to that waypoint. True courses are usually necessary at high latitudes. The letter T shows a true course. Laker is a set waypoint. Its geographic position does not change. The location of some waypoints is not set. Flight conditions that include wind, true airspeed, thrust available, and airplane pitch change their location. These are conditional waypoints. Conditional waypoint names are shown in parentheses. In this example, the 312-degree heading is held until the airplane is at or above 420 feet. If conditions change, the location of the waypoint changes. This conditional waypoint is an altitude constraint. Other constraints could be VOR radials, DMEs, or intercepts. Conditional waypoints can only be put in the flight plan as part of a SID, STAR, or an approach procedure. They cannot be put in manually. Distances are shown in the center column. For the active leg, the FMC shows the calculated distance from the airplane to the active waypoint. For all other legs, the FMC shows the calculated distance between waypoints. The speed at each waypoint is shown. The altitude to cross each waypoint is also shown. Small characters are FMC estimated values. Large characters are constraints. Constraints can be put in by you or by the FMC as part of a procedure. How do you put in speed or altitude constraints? Speed constraints must be followed by a slash. Put in the speed constraint. Execute. There are 4 types of altitude constraints. At altitude constraints have no letters. At or above altitude constraints are identified by the letter A. At or below altitude constraints are identified by the letter B. Altitude restrictions between 2 altitudes use an A with a lower altitude and a B with a higher altitude. These restrictions can only come from the FMC database. They cannot be put in manually. Put in the altitude constraint. The slash is optional for altitude constraints. Execute. Put in the speed and altitude constraint at Orton. The 2 constraints can be put in at the same time. Execute. To delete altitude and airspeed constraints, push the Delete key and select the waypoint constraints to be deleted. Delete the airspeed and altitude constraints at Orton. Execute.